I kind of draw from all of these to make my own philosophy. It's Amanda with Eat, Pray, Crunch, and here we go, round 3 of Q&A. I am going to do this third video because there were just so many questions that it would have been an insanely long video if I put them all in one. So I am splitting it up into 3, and here is part 3. So let's get going. So first question is from Finding a Way, and she asks, what were you like in high school? She thinks it's interesting to hear about past shenanigans. That's a fun question. I was actually very much a goody two-shoes when I was in high school. I did well in school, but I had to work really hard for it. It didn't come easily for me. The school that I went to had the IB program, which is kind of like an AP program, but it's like international. It stands for International Baccalaureate. I did IB part-time when I was in high school, and some of those classes were incredibly challenging for me. Some of them came easily to me, but some of them were incredibly challenging to me, and I was very thankful that I had my parents' support through that to like tutor me through those, because I think that it really helped shape me and realize that like I was smarter than I thought I was, and that I was capable of doing these things that I thought were so hard. I think that that paved the way for my college experience and beyond. So yeah, so I was a good student, but with a lot of hard work. I was also a swimmer in high school. That was my sport. I swam competitively. I loved it. I did that when I was younger too, on the summer league and everything. And that was another thing that, just like with grades, I was pretty good at it, but with a lot of hard work. It didn't come easily to me. So I was a sprinter when I was on the swim team. So I would do like, you know, the 50 free, which is like there and back. So I would get put in a lot of relays. That was like my event. And I remember my senior year, I got invited to be an alternate at state, which is like not actually competing, but if somebody gets sick, then you get to go swim for them. And that was like a huge, huge deal for me then, because I was not like the best swimmer on the team, but decent enough that I was able to become alternate at state, and I remember that was like a huge deal my senior year. But yeah, I really enjoyed doing swim team. And in terms of shenanigans, I mean, all of my friends we were all nerds and I'm really glad that I had nerdy friends. Like, I really feel like most of my friends were making good decisions and good choices in life and all going good places. Everybody went to college and did well in life. Probably the biggest shenanigan, like adolescent shenanigan I did was, and I guess this is a pretty big shenanigan, I dated, when I was 15, I dated a 19-year-old. And my parents knew about it. It wasn't like it was a secret, but I'm actually kind of surprised my parents let me do that. But anyway, that only lasted for like 2 months or something ridiculous like that. And that was the extent of my dating in high school, and dated a little bit more in college. But anyway, so that was probably the most like rebellious thing that I did when I was a teenager. And I actually have mostly fond memories of my adolescence. I had good friends, a good school experience, so yeah. All right, next question is Mrs. K 4.0, and she wants to know about book suggestions. She says she's Bringing Up Bebe. Awesome. And she's a first-time mom to a 14-week-old. Congratulations, that's really exciting. I think it's awesome that you are reading Bringing Up Bebe. That is always my #1 recommendation to all my friends. I love that book. I've talked about that in a lot of my other videos. You know, some of the things I do take with a grain of salt. Just like with any parenting book, you just kind of have to adapt what works with your kids. But the overall philosophy behind that really resonates with me. And in terms of other parenting books, one of the main ones that I have referenced is Parenting with Love and Logic. This is one that a lot of my friends have highly, highly recommended, and it has been really helpful in coming up with like a discipline system with my kids and that kind of thing. I do reference the Dr. Sears baby book a lot, although I also take a lot of things in there with a grain of salt. I agree with a lot of the things he says, and I don't agree with some of the things he says. But in terms of just a general like health reference, if something is going on with your baby, you need to look up this symptom or that symptom or whatever, that is a great book. And then in terms of sleep, other than Bringing Up Bebe, which has one of my main philosophies about getting kids to sleep at night in there, but also the No Cry Sleep Solution is another one of my favorites that I recommend to a lot of my first-time mom friends as well. And there are a lot of techniques that I've used with my kids that have been really effective in there. And there are also techniques from books that I haven't read that I know the philosophy behind, like Baby Wise, and what's the other one called? Healthy Sleep Habits, Happy Child. I kind of draw from all of these to, you know, make my own philosophy. But anyway, I could go on and on about books, but those are probably the highlighted ones that I would recommend most. The next question is from my friend Miley. Love you, girl. She says, how long did it take for your family to transition to your 80-20 diet, and what are the challenges, if any, and meal planning? So great questions. I would say in terms of the 80-20 diet, like switching to the kind of diet that we have, it was very much gradual. It wasn't like, bam, we are eating this diet all of a sudden. For example, like, okay, we're going to switch to raw milk. Maybe we'll do that this month, and then maybe next month we will, you know, switch to eating, you know, grass-fed meat, and then the month after that maybe we will switch to organic produce, and then maybe a few months down the road we'll start growing some of our own vegetables. It was very much a gradual progress, and we're still progressing now in changing some of the things in our diet. So it's definitely a lot more attainable when you do it slowly and don't feel like you have to do it all at once, because that just gets totally overwhelming and can be paralyzing. I definitely would recommend just doing it slowly, and I really feel like we have gotten to a pretty good 80-20 rule. If you guys don't know what the 80-20 rule is, it means that 80% of the time you are eating really healthy, and then 20% of the time you don't worry about it as much. So if you're eating out, if you're at friends' houses, you know, social situations where it's difficult to, you know, eat your specific diet in that context, you just go with it and you don't worry about it for the sake of having mental health, because we can go nuts, right? Trying to be perfect about having the best diet and not achieving it all the time, not being able to. So it's a great mentality. It's definitely really helped us in terms of, you know, being healthy the vast majority of the time, but not worrying about it all the time. In terms of meal planning, I have been doing the Fresh 20 cookbook, and I actually did a whole video about that, which I will link right here. And I hate meal planning and that book has totally turned that around for me, because it plans it all out for you, and it's all real food, real ingredients, and it is fantastic. So I have just been going all the way through that book. That has kind of been my solution, at least currently. I also feel like going through that book has helped me learn a lot about meal planning with real food. And I feel like I'm almost to a point now where I can actually start making my own meal plans, or I feel a little more inspired. Like, I know how to do lots of different kinds of things just from learning from this book. Eventually I would like to get a meal planner, like a little journal, or, you know, an app or something like that to actually find recipes and make my grocery list from those and yada yada. But for now, Fresh 20 has been my solution. And finally, Tabitha from the Healthy Hippie Mama. So she's asking about whether we have a vegetable garden, and yes we do. If you go back into my playlist about food and garden, you can see all of our videos about our garden there. My husband is the one with the green thumb, and he plants a huge vegetable garden every year. And this year he actually planted a bunch of fruit trees. We have like 10 fruit trees now, so we have a little orchard going on in our yard now. The house that we moved into does have a couple of raised beds, and that's what we've been doing. If you also look back on some of my old videos, I've talked about doing our pot garden, which is a container garden, not that kind of pot, where we just do like lettuce and tomatoes and peppers and eggplants and all sorts of stuff in containers around the perimeter of our patio. That has been working really well for us. It's actually kind of nice having vegetables lining our patio, and the kids can go out and just pick them. So yes, we have a fruit and vegetable garden and love it. Stay tuned, because I'll be doing lots of videos with that as we get into spring and summer. All right, and next is from Antoinette from Mama Studio, and she asks, how do you balance motherhood and being a YouTuber? Oh my gosh, that's such a good question, and I am still trying to figure that out now. My main trick for getting it all done is that I will do like marathon filming. So I will sit down and I will like crank out like 4 or 5 videos in one sitting. I'll like change my clothes, I'll change the setting. So if you guys are watching now, you are in on my dirty little secret that like if you're watching several videos in a row, you know that they were all done on the same day. And I will sometimes do that when I have help with my kids, or after they're in bed one night. Like right now my kids are in bed and I'm filming this series of Q&A videos. Or sometimes I'll do 3 on one night and then like 3 the next day or something like that. And then I'll just have this collection of videos to edit throughout the next like week or 2. I do almost all of my I do some of my editing while my daughter is napping and while my son is watching his show during his quiet time. I'll do some of my editing then, or while my kids are independently playing, but I do the vast majority of it after my kids go to bed. I have my little back massager that my husband got me for Christmas, and I sit with that in my laptop, and it feels so nice. I get myself a cup of tea and I edit my videos. I really enjoy editing. It's just kind of a creative, I mean, you understand, you're a YouTuber, but that's how I balance that. And in terms of thinking about ideas and everything, I feel like maybe it's a God thing, but I am just like, I have so many ideas for YouTube videos that I want to make. I literally have way more than I have time to do. And so when I think of an idea of a YouTube video, or if somebody suggests something that they want to see, I have a master list. It's just on Post-its. It's nothing fancy. But I have this master long list on this little stack of Post-its of all the videos that I am working on, or when I get an idea, I add to that list. And in terms of filming, sometimes I try to include my kids. You've seen my kids in some of my videos, and like Alex is actually interested, like he recognizes that I make videos now and he is interested in being in them and helping me, and he like imitates me sometimes. It's really cute. So just including them is another way to balance that. So anyway, I don't know if that answers your question, but that's how I've been balancing motherhood and doing YouTube. And then next question is from Brittany from Dr. She Baby Bliss. She was our giveaway winner, and she said, what program do you use to edit? I actually answered that in my first Q&A video, and I'll just answer it again briefly right now. But currently I am using Sony Movie Studio, I believe it's called, and I have been really happy with that. And last but not least, our final question is from WitH1, and she asks, she's starting to make lists of things that she needs for baby, but she doesn't want to have a house full of stuff that she doesn't absolutely need. So what are my absolute must-haves, and what did we splurge on versus what did we save on? That is an excellent question. I could probably just make a whole video just on that, but let me just try and do it in a nutshell here. I would say that kids really don't need that much stuff. We had our basics like car seat, crib, we actually had a co-sleeper at first, some clothes, blankets, diapers. Obviously those are the main things. I mean, if you want to be minimalistic about it, it is totally possible. So if you search on YouTube like minimalism with babies, you can find all sorts of YouTube videos about how to effectively do that. We weren't necessarily like extremely minimalistic about it, but I do try to be intentional about getting things that are actively serving us that we actually need for baby. In terms of what we splurged on versus what we save, we buy the vast majority of our baby stuff used. Just about everything that I have actually purchased for my kids has been used, with a few exceptions of a few things here and there, or we've gotten things as gifts. In terms of clothes, we always try and find hand-me-downs from friends who have a little bit older kids and they're getting rid of stuff, or I go to our local kids consignment shop and I buy clothes there for super cheap. And same with toys. There are very few toys that our kids have that I've gotten new. There are a few things, but the vast majority of them I have gotten used as hand-me-downs and at our kids consignment shop. And in terms of baby equipment too, like I got our swing, our crib, our changing table, high chair, bumbo seat, a little thing that goes in the bathtub, like you name it, we got it used. So in terms of, you know, saving money, you really don't have to break the bank having a baby. Yes, they are going to still cost a lot of money, but it doesn't have to break the bank. Really, you can get baby stuff and kid stuff for very cheap, and that is what we do for the vast majority of the time. The one big thing that I can think of that I splurged on, there are a couple of things. The biggest thing I think is our double stroller. We got the City Select double stroller. I mentioned it in one of my baby stuff videos when I was still pregnant. Maybe I'll do a whole review just on our stroller because I love it. But we did buy that new, and our families actually helped us go in on that. So we weren't even paying full price for it, but it was an inexpensive item, but spread out among our family members who wanted to gift us something special. That made it affordable. I also bought new car seats for the kids, well, with the exception of the infant car seats, which we got from friends who I know hadn't been in car accidents. But like the convertible car seat and the booster seat that my son is in now, I bought those new. I bought my nursing bras new because it's a nursing bra. I would prefer to get that new. But even like my maternity clothes, everything else we get used. I probably could put a lot more thought into it and like go through my things and like actually make a list of the things that are essential and what's not. But that just kind of gives you a general idea. That's it! We made it through all of your questions. I had a lot of fun answering these. So thank you guys so much for asking these great questions. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe so that you can get a notification whenever I post a new video. And if you haven't already, be sure to go on over and check out my Facebook page and like that. And that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.